Hello, I'm Debbie Bell-Hosking of FinextraTV here at MPE Berlin 2024, and I'm joined by Kevin Baker of the Bank of America, and we're chatting about business-to-business payments. So Kevin, a big welcome to the studio.
Thank you very much.
So B2B payments we're chatting about. What would you say are the top priorities of consumers and companies when it comes to B2B payments, and what are banks doing to meet these?
In the consumer space, in the past 3 or 4 years, we've seen quite a bit of innovation and investment. For example, you look at connected cars. That actually allows a driver of a vehicle to pay using their card, whether they're at the petrol pump or they're buying something in line at a fast food restaurant. So we've come a long way in that regard. We've had payments become integrated into wearables. So it's amazing the amount of people that I see getting on the tube, tapping their watch or tapping their phone to check out at a shop. And that's something we've all seen, especially in the UK, in the past few years. And then lastly, really giving consumers more local and alternative payment methods to meet certain needs they might have and allowing them the choice to pay differently than they would have traditionally. And within businesses, even more established traditional businesses that might have more legacy processes or systems, they also have a growing population or a growing employee base of more technologically savvy individuals making decisions. And they're expecting their experiences at work to look more like their experiences at home as a consumer, especially when it comes to making payments. So that overlap is something that we've really seen quite a bit of when we talk to our merchants. And 2/3 of our merchants actually are using some sort of e-commerce or catalog to offer their goods to buyers, which looks very close to a traditional consumer type checkout experience. So lots of overlap we're seeing between our merchants and the bank.
And you touched there on the challenges of legacy. So what would you say are the current challenges experienced by companies that are actually driving them to change and adapt their legacy B2B platforms or processes?
Well, as companies become more global, they often find their supply chains become much more complex and the transactions related to those supply chains become more complex. So especially looking at things like cash, checks, paper invoices, they're still very much necessary. They're more popular in certain regions like the United States than others, but we are starting to see a shift toward more digital payment methods towards cards, even in the B2B space. It hasn't quite caught up to what we've seen in the consumer space, but that is very much a trend to help treasurers, for example, meet those goals they have of managing working capital more effectively, especially in an environment of rising rates.
So let's pinpoint a bit more. What would you say by digiting business-to-business payments, what are the benefits that companies can enjoy?
So going back to working capital, I think one of the biggest benefits is truly managing that working capital more efficiently. Back during the pandemic, there were supply chain interruptions. We had companies that were maybe not able to pay their suppliers as late as they were used to. Many companies were stockpiling inventory because of things like rising prices. Some companies actually had inventory shortages. There were all sorts of challenges based on what business you were in. And this caused everyone to really think differently. So working capital management and making sure that you can actually put as much money as you can into focusing on more strategic core projects that the business might have in mind is extremely important for CEOs, CFOs, treasurers. And then second to that, ERP systems. So many companies use them. They're highly, highly complex, and they really help companies with multiple different types of operational items. And if companies select a payment provider that's integrated well into their ERP system, that really unlocks benefits such as reporting, reconciliation, the use of vast amounts of data end-to-end across the supply chain, which they may not have had access to before. So that's definitely something that I think would benefit treasurers as they go on this journey.
Great. So benefits on the journey, digitization.
Yep.
Thank you so much. Great to have you here in the studio, Kevin.
Thank you very much. Thanks for having me.